Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we have a world's first. Yes, Lian Li have got a world's first with the world's first rotatable AC inlet socket on a power supply. Absolutely mad. So today we're going to take a look at the Lian Li new RS range. This is the 1200 watt, which we've got here. These power supplies are available in 1000 watt and 1200 watt, and also available in black or white. Also, they have a starting price of, well, a starting MSRP price of $154.99 and go up to a maximum of $184.99 in dollars. I will put, obviously, affiliated links in the video description so you can check out local pricing for you and the various formats which are available with or without the RS hub, which, yes, also is one of Lian Li's extremely clever innovations for the ATX power supply market. So this is a fully modular, as you probably expect, dual-sided 24-pin 80 plus gold and also cybernetics gold rated power supply, also PPLP gold rated, industrial grade capacitors in this thing, and also it comes with a 135mm fluid dynamic bearing fan, keeping noise nice and low. Also comes with a fanless mode as well, so if silence is your thing, then this has a fanless mode, so unless the power supply is under quite a bit of strain, which is going to be if it's a 1200 watt power supply, then you should probably never hear the fan at all. And even if you do, it's going to be whisper quiet at only 36 dBA. So this power supply has a ton of innovation and some very, very cool features and what appears to be a very competitive price point. So in today's video, we'll go through, do an unboxing, obviously show what it's all about. We'll go through some of the specs, the features, and then at the end of the video, you can work out whether or not this is going to be suitable for your next PC build. Again, affiliated links will be in the video description. And also, in full disclosure, Lian Li have sent this to me free of charge for review purposes. They haven't asked me to say anything or do anything other than just give you some feedback on my honest thoughts on it. So let's get started. So let's start off with the packaging and some of the features. So as you can see from the packaging, this is Lian Li RS1200G 1200 watt power supply with the rotational shift power supply section on the back for the AC inlet, compatible with standard and 90-degree PSU mounting. Also, this particular version comes with the RS hub, and as we possibly said already, it comes with a 10-year warranty, comes with the PLP and cybernetics and 80 plus gold certifications. On the side of the box, it gives you some of the specifications, so feel free to pause those, or alternatively visit the links in the video description. Some of the notable highlights in terms of protection: over current protection, over voltage protection, over temperature protection, over power protection, short circuit protection, under voltage protection, no load protection, and also surge inrush protection. On the other side goes through the cables which are included, of which there are a ton, and also their lengths and the connections on each cable. We'll go through those in depth later on. On the other side of the box, it talks about the AC input ratings and the DC output ratings. So we've got a full 100 amps on the 12 volt rail, giving us that 1200 watts output. And on the other side of the box, it's got some of the other specifications, being the fact this is cybernetics ATX 3.1, also PCI Express Gen 5.1 with that dual color connector, and also you've got the 80 plus efficiency curve and also the fan acoustic noise levels. And obviously, taking it out of the box, you get the power supply itself. This measures in at 150 by 150 by 86 mil. You also get the RS hub, and it comes with an absolute ton of accessories, as you would possibly expect from a power supply like this with so many unique features. So we'll start off with some of the things. So there is a blanking plate for the power supply, which will become obvious why that is needed a little bit later on. And if that wasn't enough, there is yet another blanking plate. The plot thickens. Also included, there are the usual suspects. So you get some cable ties for cable management. There's also some USB 2.0 plugs. So this is the USB type A. So with this, because if you're using the RS hub, essentially what the RS hub does is actually converts your motherboard's USB 2.0 outputs into multiple outputs. So you can have more devices connected on the USB 2.0, which actually is a probably good idea. Some modern motherboards are reducing the amount which are on the board. Used to get 2. Sometimes now you only get 1. So if you've got multiple devices which do communicate with the system on USB 2.0, such as things like the Lian Li lighting system for streamers, that sort of stuff, then this is going to be great because it's going to condense all of that wiring into one modular hub. If you are using the external connection, there is also a PCI blanking plate with a notch cut out of it, so you can run the cable from the inside of your PC to the outside and then plug it into an available USB type A port. In terms of fixings, you get a bag of small screws. That is for the additional covers. You also get 4 screws to attach the PSU to your case, as you would do traditionally. There are also a bunch of cable cones as well to keep your cables nice and tidy and nice and managed. And if that isn't enough, in the back, if you want to manage your cables even further, there are some magnetic cable clips. So you can run maybe your EPS or PCI Express cables up through those to make it nice and tidy. If you've got a case which doesn't support already fantastic cable management, then you can use these as an optional extra. Also, we get the thank you for your purchase, as you would expect from Lian Li. Also, there is user guides and user manuals, so you can take your time to pore over those should you wish to. So now let's take a look at the power supply itself. So as I said, 135mm fluid dynamic bearing in here. Nice open mesh as well. Got LIANLI badging on there. And if we take a look around the sides, this is where things get very interesting indeed. So depending on which side you start from, if you start from this side, you can see there isn't a power input, but we can resolve that very easily by just pushing this around, and there you go. You now have a power inlet actually on the other side of your power supply. And this is going to be great for some cases where you have the option to rotate your power supply, and also it does give you dual opportunities to actually connect up your main 24-pin power connector. So there is a power output on this side, as you can see. It says there, 24-pin ATX. But no, one isn't enough, so let's look around the other side, and there is another one there as well. So again, depending on how you have your setup, if you have it with your power input this side, obviously you're not going to be using these, so that is where the covers come into play. So you can just grab your cover, screw it onto the side there, he says, with that way around, and then you can have that covered up for air intake purposes. And there's also little blanking plugs as well to blank those out should you need to. So yeah, this is very much a first. So you've got loads of options for mounting your power supply one way or the other, depending on what suits you and suits your needs. On the back there, so you've got our traditional power outputs, as you'd expect. So you've got your peripheral and SATA ports, and also you've got a whole bunch of 12-volt high powers and also PCI Express, EPS, etc. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 8-pin connectors, so that can be used for EPS or for PCI Express, the older style. And of course, you've got your new 12-volt 2x6. This actually, the connector on here has actually been upgraded as well. So there's a lot of people out there that have seen articles, videos, etc. of these melting. So what LIANLI have done, they've done some in-house design and actually improved the quality of the connectors. Not only have they made them color-coded in blue, so if you can see a little bit of blue, it's not pushed in far enough, but they've also now made it so the actual pins are a little bit thicker, so they can carry more current, and also they've actually improved the coatings on them as well, so actually having lower resistance, which resistance is what builds up the heat. Heat builds up and melts. So lower resistance means the energy is able to flow in the cable rather than heat up the pins, which I think is a great improvement. And also you're probably noticing there's this strange section on the bottom, and this is for very good reason. So if you've used some of the LIANLI Edge connectors, then you'll notice that there is the hubs and all that kind of stuff, or the Edge hub. So the RS model has the same thing. So we have the RS hub here. So in here, you put your USB 2.0 input from here into your motherboard. It basically gives you a USB hub. So you can connect up to 4 additional devices. So again, for things like streamers, LIANLI ecosystem, even things like the display in the 207 digital, all that kind of stuff, you can plug into there. So this is going to give you 2.5 amps across the 4 plugs. So the usual USB 2.0 is like 500 milliwatts. So obviously times that by 4 or 5, whatever it is. And yeah, you basically get more input on there. Now, there's the various ways you can actually use this hub as well. So you can use the hub in a standalone mode. There are actually magnets in the side of it. So it just attaches to metal. So you could have it in your case somewhere else. Or if you wanted to, you can actually use the built-in little hub there. And all we need to do is to pull off the connector on the side. So just to reiterate, there is a little blanking plug on there. So if you want to use it off of the power supply and just put it somewhere else, you can use SATA power in the side there. But if you want to eliminate that and have it a little bit more functional, then just take off the cap off the end and go onto your power supply and literally just push it into place. So now it's getting power from the power supply, so you don't need to plug in SATA on the side, and then you can have your USB 2.0 connections all on there, Again, fantastic for the LIANLI ecosystem and for other ecosystems as well, where they do make use of USB 2.0, the front panel headers that are on your motherboard, to connect up various devices. So that's great. You can put all those in there, and yeah, it looks pretty cool. Also, again, depending on which way round you have it, you've got those dual inputs on both sides, and you can just switch that around. So depending on what works best for your particular needs, whether your power supply is face down with the fan downward, whether it's face up and you want to turn it around, you can just move that around to the other side, which, yeah, I think is a very cool idea. And it makes life a lot easier, especially for some cases where cable management isn't particularly easy. So I think this makes a very nice addition to it. And of course, this is using industrial level capacitors from EPCOS or EPCOS. I'm not too sure how you pronounce that, but apparently they make very, very good capacitors. So yeah, this should stand the test of time and also be able to power all of your goodies. Again, with 1200 watts of power on tap there, this is a pretty powerful power supply. So next, let's take a look at some of the cables which are included. So first of all, we've got our main 24-pin power connector. Comes with these really nice, soft, flexible cables. And also there is a cable comb already attached. There's some more included, as we've already shown you. This cable comes in at 620 millimeters in length, and that's your standard 24-pin ATX. Next, we've got our CPU or EPS connections. So on these are the 8-pin ones, or the 4+4. One cable is a split 4+4, the other one is a solid 8-pin, and these ones come in at 700mm in length, and again, use that nice, soft, flexible, flat cabling. And of course, these are going to be the absolute perfect size for the magnetic clips, so you can cable manage your cables into the clips and just have those magnetized wherever you want them to be in the back of your case. Pretty cool. And next, we'll take a look at what is possibly the star of the show and the one which may save you tears and frustration. So this is the 12-volt 2x6 connector. Again, it's got the dual color connections on there. So if you can see any blue, you've done it wrong. Push the cable in further. These are rated up to 600 watts as well. And like I've already said, they're using the new thicker connections in there, and also lower resistance metals used on there. I think it's a combination of nickel and gold. Power buildup, or the resistance actually in the plugs, is going to be significantly reduced. The 12-volt 2x6 comes in at 650 millimeters. And next, we'll take a look at the PCI Express cables. You know, the 8-pin ones, or the 6+2, however you choose to configure it. You actually get 4 cables in total, 3 of which are just the single ones, so just a straight through cable to a plug on the end. So if you've got a graphics card which needs 3 of them, that's great. If you need 2, fine. If you need 1, yep, great. If you've got 1, then why are you buying this type of power supply? But regardless, so newer graphics cards with the 3 8-pin connectors, this is going to be absolutely fine, no worries there. Or alternatively, if you want to use one which actually has a piggyback or daisy chain, you can do. This is the same again, so all of these are 650mm in length to the first plug, and then this one's 100mm between the 2 additional plugs. So effectively, you've got kind of 5 PCIe connectors, 3 which are on single cables, and 1 which has a pigtail or piggyback. Next, we're going to take a look at the SATA cables. Now, this is where it gets very interesting or potentially confusing depending on your point of view. So there's actually 3 types of SATA plugs on here, or SATA connections, I should say. So the first one is what they call the extender. So this is just a standard SATA plug, and we've got 4 connections on here, very closely together, around about 15mm between them. So if you've got like a rack of drives installed, this is going to be great, very easy for cable management. Obviously, depending on which way round the connectors go, should be absolutely fine either way though. So got that one there. Also, there is what is called a splitter. So this one actually runs off in 2 different directions. So there are 4 plugs on here in total, like the other one, but there's 2 on one cable and 2 on the other. So they split in opposite directions, which potentially might be useful. Or if you just want something old school, then you've got your standard one. So this is 4 plugs on here, traditional cable, just all in one long length, and it's 150mm between the individual plugs. This one is one of the longer ones, so you've got 400mm to the first plug and then 150 between the others. The others are like 375 to the first plugs. And this one, the smallest one, is 300mm from the power supply to the actual first plug, and then you've got like 15mm or 10mm between the individual plugs. And the last one is the PATA connection, or what is commonly referred to as a Molex, although that is technically incorrect, but it is the Molex style. So the 4-pin PATA, things for like older hard drives and older CD-ROM drives. Some pumps do still use them. So this one's got 4 connections on it, and this one is 500mm from the power supply to the first plug, and then 150mm between the individual plugs. So there you go, there is a look at the Lian Li RS1200. This is a monster of a power supply, and also it's just crazy to see how Lian Li are still innovating what has been a standard for so many years. Adding things on like these smart RS hubs, which again, easily removable if you don't want to use it. Loads of outlets on here, and also the fact that you can actually rotate the power input from one side to the other depending on your needs. And of course, if you do move it around, you can also as well blank off the sides so you get optimum airflow, or you basically just don't get dust ingress where you don't want it. So I think they've done a particularly good job on this, again depending on which one you're using and where it goes to. You see on there, so you can blank that off entirely, or you can blank off another side. Yeah, it's just it's pretty crazy stuff. And again, if you want to blank off that side, you can do that. It's pretty crazy. I'm not entirely sure who this is specifically aimed at, if indeed it is aimed at any specific users, but I think again it does give you that flexibility. A power supply of this sort of price point, around about $150, 1200 watts, it's the sort of thing, yes, it's got a 10-year warranty, but there's a chance you're going to keep it for possibly even longer than that, depending on how PC technology goes. But the fact that you can move your inlet, you can blank off the sides, you've got an absolute ton of connections, and also you've got the very cool RS hub, which is extremely easy to use for those extra USB devices. I think this is a cracking power supply, and it is obviously unique as well. So it'd be interesting to see how the market tries to emulate or copy this type of design. If it takes off, I have no idea if it will or not. Let me know in the comment section. Is this the sort of thing which would appeal to you? If it would, let me know why, and let me know what sort of case you're using, because I'll be interested to hear those kinds of comments. But I think that's going to pretty much wrap this one up. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, smash that like button. If you want to see more content like this on a daily basis, maybe consider hitting subscribe, and also don't forget to hit the chime notification. That way you'll be notified of future video releases. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.